Morning friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous video, in this module diversion and adverse, we are discussing about the various diversion and adverse structure, weir and barrages and their different components like a fish ladder. In this module, we are discussing about the various theory for pervious foundation, structure on pervious foundations. In this video lecture, we are discussing about the Bleek's creep theory and Kosla's theory. That are the two theory has been used for designing the structure on the pervious foundation, hydraulic structure on a pervious foundation. In the Bleek's creep theory, that are the diversion adverbs in the actual. We are seeing with that only 2D diagrams, but that are the in actual diversion adverbs. Now that are the component and part of adverb. Now today we are learning about Blitzkrieg theory and Kosla's theory. That is the one example of a vertical drop weir. In that there have been two piles are placed for increasing the distance of flowing path of our water. That is the crease shutter, that is the weir wall, and that is the pervious foundation. So from that foundation the water are passes. In 1910, W.G. Bleek presented a theory for the subsurface flow in this book entitled Practical Design of Irrigation Work, and this theory is known as Bleek theory. According to the Bleek, in a pervious foundation, the water percolates along the base profile of the structure, which is in contact with subsoil. The length of the seepage path traversed by the water is called a creep length, and it is a design of the impervious floor is directly depend on the possibilities of percolation in porous subsoil. So water from the upstream percolate and creep slowly through weir base and the subsoil below it. The head lost by the creeping water is proportional to the distance it travelled. It is called a creep length. I previously said that sentence is said by Blix. The creep length must be made as big as possible so as to prevent the piping action. This can be achieved by providing deep vertical cutoffs of sheet piles. Now, Bleak has some of that limitations, so that a Bleak made no distinction between the creep and horizontal direction below the floor and made the creep in vertical direction along the faces of pile. And it is also some of the assumptions. Assumption is that the hydraulic gradient is constant throughout the impervious length of apron, but it is not possible in practical cases. Creep length is a sum of a horizontal and vertical creep. I previously said some of the limitation is that is the sum of the horizontal and vertical creep. Stoppage of percolation by cutoff or a sheet pile possible only if it extends up to impermeable soil strata. Now see the calculation of Bleek's creep theory. That are the creep length. L value is the creep length. L is equal to, or in that sheet pile case, the Bleek has no distinction between the horizontal creep length and the vertical creep length, because when the water are flowing into the downward direction, the gravity force are also acting on them. So that speed and the head loss with respect to that length is different. And there may be other possibilities is that why water is flowing through their path that we suggest. Water are directly flowing through that path also, because that is the saturated layer. So water are directly also flowing through that path. So that possibilities may be arise. So there no relationship between the sheet pile and that length because that reduction in creep length we are kept in our calculation creep length is that much, so maybe result may be different. So coefficient of percolation or loss of unit head is h by l, right? L means total creep length. Total creep length is d1 plus l 2d1. Why 2d1? Because that side and that side water are following that path. H upon 2d1 plus L plus 2d2 is equal to H by L. Next is the coefficient of creep. C is equal to L by H is equal to 1 by C. That is called coefficient of creep. Now the value of C for the different type of soil condition is different. For a light sand and mud as in Nile, C value is 18. For fine micaceous sand is 15. Coarse grain sand is 12. Powder or single gravel and sand mix is 5 to 9. Now, there have been some of the design criteria also given by the Blitzkrieg theory. So, the safety against piping is equal to the length of creep should be sufficient to be provided for safe hydraulic gradient according to the soil type, because exit hydraulic gradient is different with respect to soil type, because the harder material or larger gravel are not floated on some of that hydraulic gradient and piping was not occur. So for loose sand, piping is easily occur at a low hydraulic gradient or low exit gradient. Safe creep length L is equal to C into H, and one of that parameter is H by L is equal to C is less than or equal to 1 of C. So no danger in piping. So our creep coefficient inversely is not a related increasing their value. Our creep value H by L like a C value is not increased with respect to that L by H value. So that is a design factor for safety against piping. Safety against uplift pressure. The ordinate of subsoil hydraulic gradient line above the bottom of floor at any point represent the uplift pressure at that point. So let H be the uplift pressure and head at the any point on apron. Rho is the specific gravity of material and H is the ordinate of hydraulic gradient line measure above the top of floor. So the floor thickness should be H upon rho minus 1. So providing factor of safety of 4 by 3. Factor safety against the uplift pressure is determined by using this formula. Now we are seeing that one of that example of the calculation of floor thickness. It shows the hydraulic structure and it is founded on sand. We have to calculate the average hydraulic gradient, and we also find the uplift pressure at point of 6, 12 and 18 meter from the upstream side end of the floor, and we also have to find the thickness of floor at that point. So first we have to find out the total creep length. For finding the creep length, formula is L is equal to 2d1 plus L plus 2d2. So 6 multiplied by 2 and length is 22 meter. For downstream side sheet pile, length is 8 meter. So 2 into 8. So 2 into 6 plus 22 plus 2 into 8 is equal to total creep length is 15. Hydraulic gradient is 4 meter. Hydraulic gradient line is 4 meter. Total hydraulic gradient is if you want to find out the hydraulic gradient per meter, so total entry entry hydraulic pressure is 4 meter. So H by L hydraulic head is 4. So 4 divided by grip length 50 is equal to 1 upon 12.5. We are also converted value into the digital format. This is a fraction format. Uplift pressure at point A 6 meter upon upstream side length of grip A up to A. So we have to choose that point 6 into 2. So that is the upstream side pipe. That is the 6 into 2. We have to find out the uh, uplift pressure at a 6 meter. So we have to multiply our hydraulic gradient with the total grip length. Total grip length up to that point is 6 into 2. That is the sheet pile length is 6. 6 is that side, 6 is that side. So 6 multiplied by 2 and that length is 6 meter. So 6 into 2 plus 6 is equal to 18 meter. So the uplift pressure at point is grip length at point A is 18 meter. For unbalanced head, H1 is equal to 4 into 1 minus 18 by 50 because 50 is total grip length and we have to multiply with them. We have to head loss per meter and multiply with the total meter length. So we can get the unbalanced head 2.56 meter. Head at that point is 2.56 meter. Total head H and total head loss per unit length is 18 because our uplift extraction point is 18 meter. Grip length is 80 divided by 50 1 minus. So we can get the value in fraction digital values and that multiply with our total head. So 2.56 meter head is present at 6 meter. Now for calculation of uplift is W into H1. W is equal to unit weight of water 1 ton per meter cube. For larger areas and larger structure we are calculating weight in ton. 1 multiplied by 2.56 is equal to 2.56 ton per meter square because water having a unit weight is 1 ton per meter cube. Thickness of floor is equal to, we can use the factor of safety 4 by 3. I previously said that 4 by 3 H1 upon rho minus 1. For sand, rho is equal to 2.24, otherwise specify in data. 4 by 3 multiply by 2.56 H1 upon rho minus 1. 2.24 minus 1. So the thickness value is 2.76. So at that point we have to take that thickness 2.76 meter. Now we can use that design data for designing purpose. We also calculate the another required data like 12 meter for 18 meter by the using same way. At that point we require as much thickness because thickness is decreasing due to head is reduced. That may be thickness become higher and higher, like 2.6 meter thick floor required at that point to prevent the uplift. Now there have been some of the limitation is that it has no distinction between horizontal and vertical beam. Holds good so long as horizontal distance between the pile lines is greater than the twice their depth. Did not explain about exit gradient. No distinction between outer and inner faces of sheet pile or the intermediate sheet pile. There have been no, only two piles are not placed. Some of the places, one of the intermediate piles are also placed. So there have been no such a distinction that what are the effective inner or the outer. Losses of head loss does not take place in the same proportion as the clip length. Also, the applied pressure distribution is not linear but follow the sine curve. In actual cases, that follow sine curve, but if as per that theory, that are not give the actually idea. Blix doesn't specify absolute necessity of providing seed pile at downstream, which is essential to prevent the undermining or piping. After studying dam failures constructed based on Blix theory, Khosla came out with the following. Khosla giving some different assumptions with respect to uh, Blix theory. Uh, Blix theory become a accepted theory for design of irrigation structures on permeable foundation from 1910 onwards. A number of structures were designed on the basis of this theory, some of which remain stable while others gave trouble or failed in 1926-27. Some siphons on upper Chenab Canal, which were designed on the basis of Blix theory, gave trouble. During the investigation, actual pressure measurements were made with the help of pipe inserted on the floor of these siphons, which indicate that the actual pressure were quite different from those computed on the basis of Blix theory. This investigation was carried out by Dr. A. N. Khosla, which leads to the following conclusions. The outer faces of the end sheet piles are much more effective than the inner faces. And the outer faces of the sheet pile were much more effective because and the horizontal length of floor also. And the intermediate sheet piles are smaller in length than the outer piles are ineffective except of local redistribution pressure. Undermining of the floor started from the tail end if the hydraulic gradient at the exit was more than the critical gradient for the particular soil. The particles would move with the flow of water, thus causing the progressive degradation of subsoil, resulting in the cavities and the ultimate failure. It was absolutely essential to have reasonably deep vertical cutoff at a downstream end to prevent the piping. Khosla and his associate carried out further research work to find the ultimate and the complete solution of the problem. The rational solution given by them is now known as a Khosla's theory. Khosla and his associate took into account the flow pattern below the impermeable base of hydraulic structure to calculate the uplift pressure and the exit gradient. Various cases were analyzed by them. The case of horizontal impervious floor without a pile is discussed. Khosla and his associate give the mathematical solution of the Laplace equation of different types of structure on the permeable foundation. Its solution is also known as a Weber solution. See in the picture is that is the horizontal floor with a negligible small thickness. That are the exponential lines that are perpendicularly cut the flow lines. That are the flow line means water travel through that path. Water travel through that path. And with line having a equal hydraulic gradient is called equipotential line. You are already familiar with this word in the applied fluid mechanics. That is the flow line and that is the equipotential line. Now pressure distribution curve for that case is P is equal to H by pi cos inverse 2x by B. That are the pressure distribution formula. Now we have seen some of the special cases of the Kosla's theory. Straight horizontal floor with negligible thickness, and having a pile at upstream side end, piles at downstream side end, piles at intermediate points, and depressed below the bed with no cutoffs. There have been 3 to 4 cases. That is the first case, second case, third case, and fourth case, where B is equal to length of pier. He also give one of the diagram of 1 upon alpha calculation. I am not showing all the equations like phi E, phi D, that already shows in that particular graphs and that particular tables. So I am not showing all the equations to you. You have to remember that equation when you are designing, or prepare the chart of that equation when we are putting that values into the data. We can get 1 upon alpha is equal to D by B ratio values with respect to that particular data. Percentage of pressure at a given point. Percentage of pressure at a given point. PE or phi, right? Both are the same phenomena. That value is 1 upon pi cos inverse lambda minus 2 upon lambda. H is equal to height of water, and B is equal to length of weir foundation and depth of pile. Right? That are the graphs shown. That notation also shown in that particular graph. That are the Kosla's curves for exit gradient. We are also calculating the exit gradient as per the Kosla's theory. So the Kosla's curve's exit gradient line is that, and that is the alpha versus lambda curve. So this is the alpha versus lambda curve, and that is the value of exit gradient. If alpha increases, like B by D ratio is increases, so the exit gradient is decreases. Exit gradient is decreases, so safely pass out the water through that soil, and that cannot affect that bed of foundation. And that are the permissible exit gradient, like GE. That are the value of GE. Now, most design do not confirm that elementary profile. In actual cases, we may have a number of piles at upstream level and downstream level, and the intermediate points, and the floor also has some thickness. So method of independent variable also useful in that cases. Kosla is also used that method. This method consists of breaking up a complex profile into a number of simple profiles. The pressure obtained at a key point by considering a simple profiles as they are corrected for the following. So for the different portion of that our profile, down profile, bed profile, we have to correct that portion wise. So correction for thickness of floor, and correction for mutual interface of pile, correction for slope of the floor. Now that are the different cases, like for the upstream pile, for the intermediate pile, for the downstream pile. Correction for the floor thickness. At upstream pile, pressure can be determined by that value IC, ID minus IC upon D1. That value is getting from that previous chart. Multiply by T1. T1 means thickness. For intermediate pile, there have been phi E1 value, phi C1 value is different. And calculating to subtracting that value from the E to E1. That are the E1, that is the E to E1, that only one portion we calculate. Phi C1 means C to C1. downstream pile phi E1 is equal to E2 E1. At the value of C, it is called percentage of correction to be applied the pressure head. How much pressure we have to maintain here and maintain that particular head, and that value can be calculated using this equation. C is equal to 19 under root di by b dash d plus di upon d. Correction correction for slope. Correction of slope of the floor also been recommended by Khosla. Table number 6.2 generally gives the recommendation of slope correction. The slope is 1 in 1, so correction of pressure is 11.2. That will also be determined from the Khosla correction graph. Inverted filter and launching apron. An inverted filter is provided immediately at the end of downstream side impervious apron to relieve the pressure. Approximate length is 1.5 d2. Launching apron. After the inverted filter, a launching apron is provided to protect the downstream side pile from the scour hole progressing in the upstream side direction. Similar launching approach is also provided to the upstream side with a length equal to 2d, like depth of seed pipe. Now that is the inverted filter and launching approach. Now that are the launching apron and that are the graded filter. And one of that section has been also provided at the inverted filters. It is also made with rubbles and any other sand materials. Now, our question is that describe with the help of suitable sketches Blick's grip theory for the safe designing of apron in an irrigation work. How does Lens theory differ from Blick's grip theory? But we cannot discuss this because it is not covered in our syllabus. Discuss Kosla's theory for design of weirs on permeable foundation and enumerate the various corrections that are needed on its application. Discuss utility and limitation of Kosla's theory. Express silent features of Kosla's theory and how it is used in design of permeable foundation. Compare the Blick's and Kosla's theory for the design of impervious floor. That are the two theories that can be used for designing the irrigation structures on a pervious foundation. If you want to detail knowledge and the designing procedures, so you are using the reference book, and that is very helpful to you. Thank you.